Most people think working night security is boring. You sit, watch cameras, and wait for morning. But in America's oldest universities, some guards discover the truth, that they're not the only ones watching. This story comes from Florida in 2011. A new guard, a locked dorm, and a room so haunted the university sealed it off forever. Tonight, you'll hear what really happened inside Dormitory 407, and why the guard swore he would never work nights again. Turn off the lights and listen closely, because sometimes the ones walking the halls after midnight aren't students at all. Mark was a 28-year-old night security guard, newly hired at a large Florida university. His assignment? East Dormitory, one of the oldest student housing buildings on campus. The dorm had history. Built in the 1960s, it creaked with every step. The long hallways buzzed with weak fluorescent lights. And among students, it carried a reputation. Whispers of strange noises, cold drafts, doors that close by themselves. But the strongest rumor centered on room 407. Decades earlier, a student, a young woman, had died there. The details were vague. Some said suicide, others said something darker. Since then, the room had been locked, unused, and eventually sealed. Mark didn't care about ghost stories. He needed a paycheck. But he would soon regret stepping inside that building. It was quiet at first. Mark sat in the security office, sipping stale coffee, eyes on the glowing CCTV monitors. Around 1:12 a.m., something changed. On the screen, a light flicked on in the fourth-floor hallway, directly outside room 407. Mark frowned. No students were allowed on that floor at night. He grabbed his flashlight and radio and climbed the stairs. The hallway was empty, silent. But as he passed room 407, he noticed something strange. The door handle, rusted for years, was slightly turned, as if someone had just let go. His walkie-talkie suddenly crackled. Through the static, a faint voice whispered, "Why are you here?" Mark froze. His heart pounded. When he checked the radio, it was dead silent again. Back in the monitor room, Mark replayed the footage. What he saw chilled his blood. A figure, a young woman with long dark hair, walked slowly down the fourth-floor hall. Her face was pale, blurred by the grainy camera. She stopped directly in front of room 407, then turned her head to face the camera. Mark's chest tightened. Her expression didn't move. No blink, no shift. Just a faint smile. He bolted back upstairs, but when he reached the hallway, it was empty. Still, something felt wrong. He looked at the dust-covered door of room 407, and there, clear as day, were fresh handprints, pressed into the thick layer of dust. Someone or something had been inside. Mark rushed back to the CCTV room. His hands shook as he scanned the monitors, and then he saw it. On the fourth-floor camera, the girl was standing again. Only this time, she wasn't in the middle of the hall. She was inches from the camera lens. Her pale face filled the screen, eyes dark and hollow, smile stretching unnaturally wide. Mark stumbled back. The monitors flickered, showing static. When they cleared, she was gone. Suddenly, every light in the dorm shut off. The building drowned in darkness. Mark's flashlight barely cut through the pitch black. As he moved toward the stairwell, he heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, dragging, following him. He spun around, nothing. But then, right by his ear, a whisper. "You took my seat." Mark sprinted down the hallway. The footsteps grew louder, chasing him. The air turned ice cold, his breath visible in the beam of the shaking flashlight. He reached the stairwell but froze. At the bottom stood the girl. Her hair hung over her face, her body slightly swaying. Mark's chest tightened. Her head slowly tilted upward, revealing eyes as black as coal. She smiled wider than humanly possible and took one step toward him. The flashlight flickered, then died. The hallway echoed with a scream, whether hers or his. He would never know. When dawn came, another guard found Mark outside the dorm, pale and shaking. He refused to go back inside. Days later, Mark looked up the history of room 407. The rumors were true. In 1982, a young woman had been found dead inside, sitting at her desk. The chair she used? The same one Mark had leaned on when he first checked the room. Since then, every guard who worked East Dorm's night shift eventually quit. Some claimed to see her on the cameras. Others heard whispers. Mark never took another night job. And whenever he tells the story, his voice still trembles, because in Dormitory 407, the seat is still empty, and she's still waiting.